Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to all of my colleagues here. It's a great honor for me to speak and to pay tribute to my colleague and my friend, Arnold.
I don't know who in this place makes the seating decisions when a new member joins this place, but where my friend from Terrebonne now sits, this was Arnold's seat. So after that by-election in 2014, the honourable member for Scarborough-Agincourt was my neighbour, and he immediately became my friend. It was horrific news when he told me that he had cancer, needed to take a break, and would come back. Much has been said here that I don't need to repeat of the standard he set. But I want to add to the wonderful words of my friend from Hamilton Centre, because I sat in on a lot of those PROC meetings. It was a filibuster. Nights went late. That through all of that, Arnold was clearly struggling. He was in pain. He was exhausted. And I'd go to him sometimes and say, don't you think you just ought to ask for a substitute for a while? He said, no, I can do this. He had a strong sense of duty to his family, which he loved more than anything, but to this place, to his constituents. When the Prime Minister quite rightly said Arnold did not miss votes, Canadians need to know he didn't miss votes. When a lesser man, a lesser mortal would have said, okay, no one's going to blame me if I go lie down. And when we say Jean was his rock, my friend Jean, I can't see you from where I am now, but you know I love you. Jean had to come into Ottawa to help physically hold him together as he went through those treatments and kept coming to work. Because he set a standard, he set an example. He was a living embodiment of commitment to democracy and love of country, and he exemplified it every single day. I kept hoping and praying that Arnold would not leave us. But, you know, we're all mortal. Our brief candle goes out too briefly and some way, way, way too soon. But the legacy of which the Prime Minister speaks, and of which also the official leader of the official opposition, the example that was set was not one to be consigned to some footnote of history that once there lived a Canadian member of Parliament who was extraordinary and who truly every single day showed respect and caring and kindness. That example is one that we challenge ourselves now to embrace, with Jean and Nathaniel and Theodore and Ethan as our witnesses. Don't look to your party whip, look to your hearts, and decide right now how much better can we be. My colleague, a recently elected member of the legislature in the British Columbia legislature, Sonia Furstenau, member of the legislature for Cowichan Valley, on the day Arnold died, rose to speak to the budget. And she took Arnold's words from this place and took his message to the BC legislature. And she said, she quoted Arnold saying, in his final address to Parliament, he said, quote, "I know that we are all honourable members, but to treat this institution honourably, I would ask us to elevate our debate, to elevate our practice." And Sonia went on to say, can we do better? Do our words in this chamber always need to be about scoring points and wounding our opponents? Or can we find new paths and new approaches, particularly given the extraordinary challenges we face not only in this province and this country, but globally? Let's try harder for Arnold's sake. He didn't just, as the Prime Minister used the word advise, he advised us to listen. With all due respect to my friend, the Prime Minister, that wasn't advice. That was an instruction. He said, we have to listen to each other. He exhorted us. So I don't want to consign my friend Arnold Chan to a place where everyone will remember him for what he said, but remember him as someone who changed the way we behave. We owe it to him. We owe it to our own kids. We owe it to our grandparents. that we take Arnold's words to heart. I loved him dearly. I will miss him and do miss him dearly. But I know he would wish that I reminded you that, as the honorable member for Hamilton Centre said, he meant what he said. Thank you.